Welcome to Watching the Horizon. I'm Jake. Since the majority of the population, at least in the United States, reside in urban areas, it stands to reason that many of the preppers are there too. So I wanted to delve in a little bit deeper and focus on what are going to be some of the best skills that you can have as an urban prepper that would benefit you the most. When researching this, I tried to look at recent instances of major SHTF situations. And I'm not talking about just short-term instances, don't get me wrong. Natural disaster, power outages, that kind of thing, those are certainly destructive and can cause a lot of heartache and grief. But I was looking at something a little bit more long-term. The United States hasn't really seen something like that in a long time, and I was looking for something a little bit more modern. Venezuela's got some things going on right now, but that's sort of still ongoing, and pulling from that, at least anything other than the obvious, we still got to wait and see. India's running into some economic issues because they're demonetizing. Again, that's still kind of ongoing, waiting for that to shake out. I did look at Cuba, as well as the fall of the USSR, and even looked at Germany after World War I. They had a big economic crisis there. But that's about as far back as I went. Looking at all of these different situations, I have a handful of skills that I think that every urban prepper really needs to master. The first skill, of course, how to find and treat water. Now, finding and treating water in an urban setting poses its own unique set of challenges. You may have a canal or a ditch or something like that running through your neighborhood, but chances are that water is diverted on purpose. And in a disaster situation or SHTF, that water isn't necessarily going to flow. Not something that you're going to be able to count on. You're going to be looking at things like collecting rainwater off of roofs, or if you have a body of water near you like rivers, lakes, streams, that kind of thing. You're going to want to make sure that you have scouted out access points. Take into consideration that you're going to have population density to consider. Lots of people are going to be looking for water. The obvious spots to go get water may not necessarily be the wisest choice. You're going to want to scout several different locations. Do you have any sort of collection method? Obviously, putting a barrel underneath a gutter could be the easiest way to collect rainwater, but drinking this type of water just outright without any sort of treatment is going to have some really nasty stuff in it. So definitely look into how to properly treat water that's collected off of a roof. All sorts of pollution and bird nasty and tar and all sorts of stuff. You definitely going to want to do something with that water first. The next skill I think that will highly benefit a urban prepper is going to be negotiating skills. Chances are you're going to be dealing with a lot of other people in your area. So finding a way to communicate with them, especially in emotionally stressed situations, could be extra challenging. They're going to be flighty, they're going to be scared, they may be quick to violence. Being able to stay in control of these types of situations but still manage to pull off a trade, that's going to take some practice. Not to mention negotiating skills is one of those skills that will benefit you now in your everyday life. That can't hurt. Of course, medical skills are going to go a really long way, especially in an urban environment. Bumps, bruises, cuts, scrapes, breaks. This is going to be something you're going to run into much more often in an urban setting. Again, simply because there's going to be a whole lot more people, and chances are there's going to be a whole lot more violence. The potential for getting injured or even some sort of small injury is going to go way up. And that's just normal, everyday, just trying to go about your business. Except if there's no access to any medical facilities, small problems will very quickly become big problems. Your ability to be able to handle and treat these types of situations so they don't become big problems is going to make you a very valuable individual indeed. Next skill is to be mechanically inclined. How good are you at fixing things around the house? I'm not talking in a Tim Allen kind of way, but like legitimately, how well are you at working with your hands and fixing things? Do you have a basic understanding of electronics? Basic understanding of small engine repair, or even fixing your own car? I'm not talking about just changing a tire, but could you swap out an alternator or replace the spark plugs? This is going to give you a really big advantage because there's going to be lots of stuff around, lots of things that you're going to be able to scavenge. And you're going to want to build things, repair things, make things work again. So your ability to be handy with a wrench is going to be invaluable, especially if you're in a situation where you need to evacuate and maybe all the roads are blocked off, or maybe nothing around you but a bunch of broken cars because all of the good ones have already been taken. Perhaps you're going to need to rig up some sort of solar array or something like that. Now, solar systems aren't actually that difficult to put together. They're not complicated, but if you have absolutely no idea what you're doing, it might as well be brain surgery. Building things and fixing things so that they are built to last and withstand the elements, it's going to be very important. Gardening skills. How are your gardening skills? Now, I'm not just talking about being able to raise some herbs or a chia pet, or maybe you even got a tomato plant out on your porch or something like that. No. I mean real gardening skills for your area. It's one thing to grow something in a pot. It's another thing to try to grow enough food for you to survive off of. Having a basic understanding of soil and nutrients, weather, growing seasons, when to harvest, when to plant, that kind of thing. This is a skill that can be learned now. It's also something that you can benefit from now. You may already have food storage for you and your family, but that food storage isn't going to last forever. And there's going to be plenty of other people who are going to be very hungry. So if you're going to be able to garden and have those skills, especially for the area that you're in right now, that's going to be extremely valuable. Nothing worse than trying to punch through a learning curve on gardening when you're in the middle of starving to death. And lastly, critical thinking and creative problem solving. This, I would argue, is the most important skill of all. If you've got a life and death situation and you're looking at a garage full of tools and scraps of whatever, are you going to be able to figure out how to remedy that situation with just the supplies that you have? You may not be able to go to the store and buy what you need. You may not have the luxury of being able to hop online and look at YouTube and figure out how to do something. You're going to have to get creative with your problem solving, whether that's with dealing with other people or whether that's with dealing with some sort of transportation issue. Maybe you have to build something, or maybe it's something just as simple as repairing your shelter. When your supplies are limited, it's going to be very important for you to have critical thinking and problem-solving skills. In my research, I saw that so many people have died, but it turns out they actually had access to all the resources they need to keep them alive. They just didn't know how to use them. They didn't even necessarily know that they had the resources that were necessary. Now, I'm sure there's a lot more skills that would be beneficial to the urban prepper, but in my opinion, and it is in fact just my opinion, those are the top ones that I think every urban prepper should know, at minimum. If you think I missed one, please put it in the comments below. You'll be helping out everyone else that gets to watch this video. I certainly don't claim to know everything, and I certainly welcome anyone else's input. So thanks for watching, and be sure to keep your eyes open.